Check. 1, 2. Check. Check. 1, 2. Test. Testing. Testes. I'll be there. I'll be there. Okay. Haunted ghost version. What's up? My name is James. I'm a person in recovery. This is my live stream addiction recovery podcast every Monday and Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. We talk about topics revolving around addiction recovery. And tonight is no different. What are the 5 stages of recovery? What's up, Antonio? Good to see you. James Horn, hello. Home is where your dog is. 5 stages of recovery. What is them? What are them? While you guys join the live stream, I'm going to read them off. What are the 5 stages of recovery? The stages of recovery often used in addiction recovery are generally considered to be pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. These stages outline the journey from acknowledging a problem to establishing and maintaining a sober lifestyle. 1. Stage 1. Pre-contemplation. The individual may not recognize they have a problem or are unwilling to admit it. That is the first stage of recovery. You're kind of neither nor thither. You're kind of neither here nor there on maybe it's saying the individual may not recognize they have a problem or are unwilling to admit it. For some reason I knew I was an alcoholic at 18, but I was drinking long before that, and I may have not known. So pre-contemplation for me occurred probably between ages 14 and 17. I didn't recognize I had a problem and was unwilling to admit it. Even at 18, when I said to myself, I'm probably an alcoholic, I probably went on for years after that. What's up, Ingy? What's up, Linby? What's up, Linby and Ingy? We're talking about the 5 stages of recovery. We just covered pre-contemplation, the first stage of recovery. Theoretically, in referring to addiction recovery, the 5 stages of recovery are pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, maintenance. Pre-contemplation, I was probably from ages 14 to maybe even through the Navy to 26. Yeah, 2007 was about the year that I wrapped my Explorer around a tree and woke up 2.5 months later from a medically induced coma. Damn near dead. And that was the year that I basically, but even before that. So pre-contemplation for me was up until about 2007. The next stage of recovery is contemplation. The individual is aware of the problem and is considering making changes, but hasn't yet taken action. Yep. Okay, so contemplation for me occurred one night drinking 40 ounces. It was a Friday night, and I said to myself, I drink more than my friends, and I've been drinking every weekend. I'm probably an alcoholic. My grandfather was, and I have some of my mother's stuff. And then I went to AA. I'll probably have to go I'll probably have to go to AA, whatever that means. This is the 18-year-old non-sober James, drunk James. I'll probably have to go to AA by the time I'm 25. So pre-contemplation, I think officially, to the best of my memory, in my experience, happened at around 18 when I looked up from my 40 ounce of Old English 800 malt liquor, and I stepped away from the beatboxing and freestyle rapping circle that I was in, and I said to myself, I'm probably an alcoholic. Oh, Ingy's watching me on her TV. That's what I do sometimes when I check the sound levels. Because if you notice, I'm special. I'm not like other podcasters. I don't have ear muffs. I don't have headphones on. That's so like 2000, if you ask me. Well, anyway, it makes for trouble because I don't get to hear what sounds horrible and what sounds nice. So, the second stage, contemplation. Realizing that you have a problem, not yet taking action. That was me at 18. I said, I'll wait till I'm 25. 25 rolled around. I said, I'll wait till I'm 30. 30 rolled around. And, well, you know the rest. Shit. I have over 100 videos on this channel, by the way, if you would like to peruse. The third stage of recovery from addiction is preparation. This is when the individual is ready to take action and may start exploring treatment options. That was me. Let's see. In my experience, that was I'm getting ready to take action and may start exploring treatment options. I had started exploring AA before, or maybe not, before my accident. Yeah, because I went to one when I was in the Navy. I got a DUI in around 2003, 2004 in the United States Navy. I was home on Thanksgiving. I was already lit from drinking in the car on the drive up from Virginia Beach. And I don't even know if that's incriminating or whatever. Fuck it. But I got to, and the day before Thanksgiving, the night before Thanksgiving is the biggest local bar scene, pretty much any hometown you can think of. And for the Navy boy who's coming home for the holidays, I'm driving into, everyone's home in hometown for the holidays. So after we all graduated from high school or college too, or went off to college, everyone went off to college. I went off to the Navy. People are going places. They come home for Thanksgiving. I think it's the biggest bar night of the year, the night before Thanksgiving. Stop me if I'm wrong, people. Hey, Miss Ford. Thank you. Oh, well, thank you. I like compliments. And condiments. I like condiments as well. Mayo, relish, things of this nature. Well, I feel special. Ingy's watching me on her TV. I got a cool sweater on. Blackout Wednesday. That's the night before Thanksgiving. Thank you, Lynn B. Blackout Wednesday. Everybody's home in their hometown. Navy boys, college boys, Navy girls, college girls, but not Marine girls or Marine boys. Yeah, they're there too. And there's a fighting and there's a fucking and there's a whole lot of fornicating. You know what I mean? Well, anyway, entrapment. Have you ever heard this word? It can be used when a officer of the law sits parked outside of a bar and waits for drunk people to get in their car. And then they follow them and pull them over down the road and give them a DUI. Now, I think it's entrapment. I don't know. Actually, that's a teenage or a 20-something opinion of James. I don't know if it is anymore. I don't even know if it was ever a fact, actually. But that's what they did. They watched me come out of the bar. And I was drinking Long Island iced teas. I don't know. There was some ladies there. Ladies at the time, early 2000s, Long Island iced teas were jumping off. They were the jump off. So I had, I don't know, 4 or 5 of those. and proceeded to get a DUI. I was telling you this because, I don't know. Yes, the third stage of recovery is preparation. The individual is getting ready to take action and may start exploring treatment options. So I got that DUI in the Navy, almost got kicked out, went to captain's mast, stood at attention, was in the chief's mast. They're like, it says here on your recruitment papers that you never got a DUI before. And I'm standing at attention in chief's mess, khakis all around. It's a serious, I'm ruining their holiday or whatever. And it says here you didn't report your DUI on your recruitment papers. And I just say to the room full of chiefs, master chiefs, and senior master chiefs, is it in the recruiter's handwriting? And we laughed and laughed because recruiters, right after 9/11 happened, were known to be shisty, car dealer. I mean, he was like, you want to be a photographer, mate? All right, step right in here. Let me get right. What's your name again? James? I had a brother named James. Yeah, they were soaking us up. Right after 9/11, if you want to be anything in the military, you can, you can be a photographer. And then they're like, sign here. And they're like, all right, well, you're going to be in aviation electrician. Airman first. But I tell you that to tell you this. That was when I'm trying to relate these phases of recovery, stages of recovery, 5 stages of recovery. I'm trying to relate them to my hindsight journey. Preparation. So when I got that DUI, I think I remember going to a AA meeting on base. I definitely remember going to one on the ship. And by definitely, I mean possibly. I don't know. I heard once that we can make up our own memories and we think they're real memories, but they're actually just our own fabricated Gimbaldy Jimbers. You know what I mean? Long Island iced teas, yeah. Yeah, well, I wasn't, you know what I mean, Ryan? I wasn't a drone to survey the area. Who am I, Inspector Gadget? I'm drunk. I'm a Navy guy coming home for the holidays, seeing my ex-girlfriend, finding out that she's fucking my brother. Oh, that was, I don't usually do those dirty jokes. But I was a Navy guy. I'm not Inspector Gadget out there with launch a drone before I leave the cover of the bar to make sure there's no entrapment-minded cops out there. But you're right. That would have been a good idea. So the third stage of recovery happened to me right around, that was my second DUI in my life. The first one, I was underage, drinking. I thought I was being chivalrous by taking the keys from these 2 ladies. But I was like, I forget how old I was. I was underage. I was a teenager. You don't even want to hear that story. I think I almost got ass raped by 3 men dressed as cowboys and robbers. All right. So we used to go to a gay bar in Albany, New York, named Rome. The ladies like to go there. As teens, there were few bars that served to underage individuals like myself and my friends. And the females in our group liked going to this gay bar. I mean, there's dancing. They don't get drooled on and harassed. And the place was jumping. I'll give it that. And not everybody was gay, but there was a sexual energy. And one time I tried to steal a 6-foot plant, and the other time I stole a bouncer's watch when he was kicking me out. But this particular time, I am with my lovely female friends. I think it was Courtney and Liz. And walking, and they were kissing in the bar, being all teenage girls, and they wanted me and an anonymous friend to kiss as well. Well, there was drag queen type energy all around. I mean, this place was jam packed. Both floors, it was like, bumping. And there's gays, and there's me, and there's heteros. There's heteros and gays, and but mostly gays. But we get to drink. We're teenagers. We get to drink at the bar. We're Long Island iced teaing it up. We're living it up. So, the cowboy, tall as me. I'm 6'5". This guy was at least as tall as me. He looked like he might be mixed, like that mixed country singer, black and white. And I don't remember what his friends looked like, but they were dressed like robbers. He was dressed like a cowboy. And they were trying to make out with me. I mean, they were trying to kiss me, and like, I'm drunk, and I'm slick when I'm drunk, you know what I mean? I'm like a slippery snake. You ain't kissing me. You know what I mean? Not if I don't want to be kissed. And, I made it out of there by the skin of my kisser. I'll tell you that. But later on, we leave, and I'm walking, and this is when I took the keys from Courtney or Liz or whoever was driving. I said, I'm driving. I know I don't got my glasses, and I know I'm wasted, but I ain't letting no ladies drive. Ladies can't drive. No, I was, trying to be a gentleman. Maybe I'll drive them to my house, both of them, to my house instead, instead of, taking them home. Anyway, I was driving, and I took the keys, and that's when I noticed in my peripheral vision 3 dark figures emerging from the alleyway. We were crossing the well-lit parking lot. Here comes a 6'5" cowboy and his 2 robbers. And they were walking pretty fast towards me and Courtney, and they looked very disappointed that Courtney and Liz were there. And I didn't think much of it at the time, but in hindsight, if I were alone, I'm pretty sure I would have been ass raped by a 6'5" cowboy and his 2 robbers. So that was good. That didn't happen, but I did go on later to be stopped by the police and thrown in jail for a DUI. That was my first one. My second one was in the Navy. I almost got kicked out. That's when my 3rd stage of recovery started occurring, according to this article on 5 stages of recovery. Preparation. Me, the individual, now I'm getting ready to take action and might start exploring treatment options. When I was exposed to an AA meeting in that Navy environment, when I had to go through 45 days restriction, I missed all the holidays and everything. But, shouldn't have been driving drunk. Preparation. The 4th stage of recovery, action. The individual starts taking concrete steps to change their behavior, such as attending treatment or support groups. This happened to me after 2007, the crash of 2007. I have a video on this channel, the crash, the coma, the recovery, sober James, drunk driving, I was drunk driving, long story short, wet road, drunk driving, a couple blocks from my destination for the night. Had just dropped my friend off, and the back end of my Ford Explorer became the front, and I wrapped it around a tree, and the passenger seat was crushed, and part of me was crushed, both rib cages So tracheotomy, lung surgery, 2.5 months in a medically induced coma. 2007 happened. That's when, because James, to me, drinking had always been fun, a little dangerous. You know, Jack Acid was trending. That was life back then for this alcoholic, was like jackass type behavior, skateboarding, you know, everything, every kind of raucous behavior you can think of, man. Shenanigans, man. So I was lucky to be alive, but I was barely. I had to learn how to walk again. I had to learn how to talk again. Go watch the video. It's on here. So that is when probably the fourth stage of recovery happened in my story. Action. I had to learn how to walk again, talk again. Then I healed. I was healing. I ended up also getting, I think, knee surgery on top of it all, just so I could stay out of work. And well, I might as well fix it all. If I'm getting sober and I'm healing from a 3-month coma, I might as well fix my ACL, which doesn't exist because of Nick Lee. And another drunken night where, you know, a snapped ACL is just another occurrence. 2007 was about when I was in the fourth stage of recovery, when I started taking concrete steps to change my behavior, such as attending treatment or support groups. I started going to AA meetings. But you don't just go to AA meetings and then come out all right. I had relapses. I would stop going to meetings and I would gain success. I started working as an electrician. And early in my recovery, I had to learn the hard way that if you don't put your recovery first, you will lose everything that you put in front of it. So the job that I was stressing out, I lost because I wasn't in recovery enough. So stage 4, action, I probably started taking, 2009, 2000. Okay, so 2010, I was definitely relapsing. So I'm not sure about all that. And then, so action, I didn't take action until 2012. It wasn't 2007. I still drank after that horrible accident and after no one would drink with me anymore. And after I wasn't even supposed to be drinking and like, holy fuck, don't you have a tracheotomy, James? And it's like, nah, man, that shit closed. But yeah, I almost died. And I still drank through that. You alcoholics out there can surely believe it. Non-alcoholics may have a hard time believing it, but I walked when I could barely walk. I walked to a bar with a cane. What are you guys talking about before we go on to the 5th and final stage of recovery? What's up, Florence? What's up, Mindsai? What's up, Yopo 420? Lynn B, Miss Ford, Ryan, good to see you all. One truth that AANA doesn't tell its members, that they will eventually relapse. Relapse is part of the process. False. Relapse is part of the disease. Relapse can be part of the process of recovery. But if you go to as many meetings as I go to and meet as many people in recovery that I meet, you will know that some people, it only takes one white chip. They come to AA, they begin the program, and they never drink again. Or they haven't up until now, 20 years. So, then there's individuals like myself, and no, I'm not alone or special, that learn the process of recovery the hard way, and, the slower way, and just everybody has their own recovery path. Relapse is part of the disease of addiction. Relapse can be a part of recovery if you learn from it and build on your recovery. I'll tell you, I'm in recovery right now. You will know when I'm in recovery, and you'll know when I'm in relapse. I haven't been in relapse in a year and a half now. And I relapsed. There was relapse of my disease. It was May of 2023. I started drinking, didn't stop until November 30th. That's a relapse of alcoholism. The symptom of drinking has manifested. My alcoholism was untreated. That's the last thing you do is medicate with alcohol. So relapse has been a part of my story. AA, of course, they're not going to tell you what your recovery looks like. They're not fortune tellers. Everyone recovery looks different. The principles and the program of AA is rock solid, though, helping alcoholics of all walks of life. And it depends. AA isn't a talking eyeball in the sky. There's many people involved, and you have to understand it. You have to go to meetings, and I live meetings. I don't know what I would do if it weren't for meetings. Literally, I don't know what I would do physically in that time and space. I don't know what I would do. All people will relapse. There's no such thing as permanent sobriety. Well, you don't know what you're talking about, Yopo 420. And I say that in a literal sense. I can tell that you don't know what you're talking about. One way I can tell that is that you're using absolutes like all, and there's no such thing. Those are impossible statements. Coffee and nicotine is not sober. Look, we're talking about alcohol, bro. There's a singleness of purpose, it's called, in Alcoholics Anonymous. We talk about alcohol. We'd be smoking cigarettes and drinking coffee all meeting long. We ain't talking about cigarettes and coffee. And for 89 years, we haven't been talking about cigarettes or coffee or heroin or meth. You know what I'm saying? Or weed or coke. I'm not talking about that. Alcoholics Anonymous has a singleness of purpose. We relate our alcohol. Of course it's a drug, bro. Sugar's a drug, I think, technically. We're not. And if you are addicted to nicotine, you will experience dire consequences like lung cancer. What's up, Noah? And that is the definition of addiction. When you experience more consequences than you do benefits from your compulsive behavior. AKA, it just ain't fun no more. The thrill is gone. The thrill is gone away. You know what I'm saying? B.B. King. The thrill done B.B. King'd on that ass. The fifth stage of recovery is maintenance. The individual works to maintain their changes and prevent relapse, focusing on strategies for long-term sobriety. I am in a maintenance phase. Where do you think you guys are at in your recovery journey? We have pre-contemplation, where you may not recognize you have a problem or are unwilling to admit it. Contemplation is the second stage. The individual is aware of the problem and is considering making changes, but hasn't taken any action yet. Third stage is preparation. The individual is getting ready to take action and may start exploring treatment options. Can you guys relate to this? The fourth stage is action. The individual starts taking concrete steps to change their behavior, such as attending treatment or support groups, like AA. Maintenance. The individual works to maintain their changes and prevent relapse, focusing on strategies for long-term sobriety. And that's what stage I'm in. How's it going, Noah? Did you ever obsess for weed? Yes, absolutely. And I'm still in danger of doing this. Any behavior, actually, whether it's weed, whether it's swiping on Tinder, whether it's shopping online, I had 4 TVs. One was still in the box in the garage at one point in here after I was getting sober and I wasn't drinking and using, but it starts manifesting in other. So there was a time where I was obsessed with weed. It was during this channel. I changed the channel name to Soberdelic James because I was obsessed with weed and mushrooms. Y'all remember? And I was smoking about 7-8 grams a day, growing it, cultivating it, curing it, grinding it up, and packing it into little cones, or gram cones, and smoking them about 7 or 8 a day. So yes, your addiction can manifest in, here's the deal. Is it manifesting in a healthy way? Now, I have a theory that we are demons, like obsession. We have a disease of obsession. It's an obsession of the mind coupled with a physical allergy. I have a theory that that obsession doesn't go away. You do have to conduit it. You have to direct it. My example is AA. AA is a significant substitute for me to obsess over, other than getting high and drunk. Now, let's talk about weed, shall we? When you smoke weed, Noah, does it get in the way of your life and your recovery? Because look, man, all these drugs we're talking about, everything from THC to ethyl alcohol, there also can be referred to as medicines. The difference between a medicine and an addiction is the dose, my brothers and sisters. So Noah, to answer your question, yes, this addict, me, has obsessed about weed before. And it was when I was 6-7 years clean from all deadly drugs like alcohol and benzodiazepines. And I had stopped going to meetings, and I had replaced meetings with weed, bro. And that's how seductive it is. Is basically your brain is like this. I'm uncomfortable. I can either put my shoes on and fucking clean myself up and go to a meeting and be uncomfortable and share with some people and who knows what's over there, or I could roll up this doobie and smoke it. The addict wants the easier, softer way. Which one of those do you think is the easier, softer way? That's the disease, cunning, baffling, and powerful. So, to answer your question, yes, it is a very likely scenario that addicts like you and me will obsess over weed. There was a time where I wasn't smoking weed or doing nicotine, but I was drinking 6 or 7 cups of coffee a day. So like, this is why we have to treat our addiction with a program like AA or NA, or there's Weed A, there's Nicotine's Anonymous, there's Sex and Love Addicts Anonymous. Anyway, the point is, you have to replace your thinking. You have to, we can't just change our minds. If you don't believe me, just remember all the times you said you were going to stop something, but just kept on going for years and years. We can't just change our minds. However, with a power greater than ourselves, like the 12 steps of AA, or NA, just the 12 steps. They're the same across all the A's. We can begin to form new pathways, neural pathways, new faith, cleaning the wreckage of the past so we're no longer depressed, and relinquishing the need to worry about the future so we're no longer anxious, giving shit to God, helping others so we restore our own self-esteem. Y'all don't even know how happy I am and have been for a couple weeks now. I mean, my true ride or die viewers, y'all know that I just got a job in addiction recovery, and I'm working with addicts every day. We be chilling. We are chilling and we're helping each other, and they want to pay me for this. And I happen to get, I would say, one of the few honest to good detox for detox sake places to work at. Because the detox and rehabilitation addiction recovery racket is a $35 billion with a B dollar a year business. So you can bet your ass there's snakes in the grass in that industry. And there is. I've been to rehabs that are nothing but they hold us up in a hotel and they took us in the druggy buggy to AA meetings, NA meetings. That's one of the reasons I know there's so many anonymous meetings. You know what I mean? I done messed around, forgot what I was talking about. Nah, shit. I totally spaced. Totally lost my train of thought. Oh, yeah. I've been to a couple crooked detoxes. I went to a detox once. They're like, oh, by the way, it's also a psych ward. Have fun. Within 5 minutes, the resident nymphomaniac was on me like white on rice and a glass of milk on a paper plate in a snowstorm. So that's a sex addict. And I think nymphomaniac is of its own class. It's like a psychological disorder. Anyway, me and her were making out like, have you ever seen Bruce Almighty? Making out like Jim Carrey and Jennifer Aniston. And they had to peel her off of me, and I'm still drunk in this, and I'm in a psych ward. But they charge you out the ass, or they charge your insurance out the ass, and give you these. And I think there was bed bugs. Shit, South Florida's a hotbed for bed bugs. It's also a hotbed for crooked recovery. I happen to be working out of the grace of God, and doing what I talk about on this channel all the time. I happen to be in a fourth dimension of existence. I have been rocketed into a fourth dimension of existence through very little of my scheming and planning. And a fellow AAer took my resume to these people. I've always wanted to work at Google and Facebook. You guys have heard me talk about it before because I watched that internship movie with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson. And Google took that opportunity to showcase how awesome it is to work at Google. They got those meditation pods. They got an hour of just like space out time. They got free food and everything. Bro, this place I'm working at is not much different than Google and those forward-looking IT companies that put the employee, they put the client first. I mean, these people care. They don't care because it's good for business. They care about, I'm working with other addicts in recovery that have been blessed with this opportunity as well. And I say that because I say that, and I'll get to your comment in a minute, Yo-Yo. I say that to say that the shit I talk about on this channel, the shit that we talk about, thanks to people like, Glenn and Ingy and Lynn B and, Florence, Noah, Sigma. Hey, what's up, Nailin? Nail in your coffin. Long time no see, yo. The stuff that we talk about works. You know what I mean? I'm a living legend. No, I'm a living poster child. No, I'm a living example of how this shit works. The stuff I talk about is real. I've seen a lot of people recently. Every day there seems to be a new addict that needs to detox and needs a way of life that's not going to kill them. We're talking fentanyl, opiates, booze. So Yo-Yo says, but remember, before says, apologize, Yo-Yo said. I was thinking about what I said, and I don't think you're ready for the stage I'm talking about. You must be new to sobriety and meeting, so go ahead and enjoy the mountaintop experience. Right. I'm new to sobriety. My name's Sober James, bro. No, I'm not new to sobriety. Remember, we eventually have to come down off the mountain, and I'm just trying to give wisdom from my many years of experience. Well, maybe I read it wrong. That your comment earlier was what AA tells you is that everyone will always relapse. That's it. You were using absolutes, which I don't know if you knew this, but anyone who uses absolutes is most likely wrong. If I say everybody is smelly today, I'm numerically, logically, and literally wrong. Everyone couldn't have been smelly today. I mean, you can go down the rabbit hole and say, sure, everyone has their own musk. But you hear what I'm saying. And I apologize if I misconstrued your comments. You sound like you have a lot of experience, and we appreciate that around here. Alcohol is the worst, Lynn B. Statistically, it kills more people than all drugs combined yearly. And I made sure I said that correctly because I can hardly believe it, but it's true. Alcohol kills more people yearly than all other drugs combined. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't, as Jay-Z put it. Men lie, women lie, numbers don't. It's good to see you, Ingrid. Ingrid says it's not a cult. It's just one way to get sober that works for a lot of people, but not everyone. True that, Ingrid. It's, by definition, never been a cult. Cults want money, power, sex, land. AA's never asked for any of these. They refused power, or they politely declined generous offerings from like Rockefeller and shit because of the singleness of purpose. The singleness of purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics achieve sobriety from alcohol. You know what I'm saying? We ain't saying you can't smoke weed and shit, you know what I mean? Bill W. did acid, bros. I mean, come on. Nobody's a saint out here. Nobody's on a soapbox, you know what I mean? Also, once an addict, always an addict is a lie. Identifying as an addict or as a Christian or a Muslim or a BPD or a major depressive or Republican or Democrat are just false identities created by the ego. Yeah, right. You're talking on that level. You're talking on a different. You're talking on that level. I heard Norm Macdonald say that, and you know how I feel about old Norm. I heard him say that. He's like, anybody that identifies as black is really limiting themselves. You know, by identifying as the pigment of their skin, you know, they're really limiting, you know, who they really are. Same with gay. He would talk about how if you say you're proud to be gay, how ridiculous that was. But this is Norm Macdonald, and these are all opinions. This is the internet. Get over yourselves. So there they are, the 5 stages of recovery: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. Maintenance has been the challenging stage for me. I will go 1 year, I will go 18 months without booze, and I will figure I'm doing all right. I wasn't sick. And I'll drink booze, face in the gutter, the whole ringer again. And oh yeah, well, you can call yourself whatever you call yourself. But one of my higher powers, and there's probably infinite, but one of them is the program of Alcoholics Anonymous. And in the program of Alcoholics Anonymous, they suggest you identify as an alcoholic so you don't forget. Because, bro, I've forgot before. And boy, was I reminded. And any alcoholic out there can identify with what I just said. You think you're good. You haven't drank in a year. You haven't drank in 2 years. Time ain't shit. This is a daily reprieve. This is a daily reprieve. Alcoholics mark their time according to the suggestions of AA, so it will be helpful for the newcomer to see that it works. So, if you're a newcomer and you're interested in stopping drinking, I tell you, I was as bad as you. And I'll tell them a little part of my story, and they'll be like, holy shit, this guy was as bad as me. And then I'll say, I've been sober for 1.5 years. And what that does is it shows the newcomer that it is a tangible proof, evidence, that someone as bad as themselves can be sober James. So Yo-Yo, you make some good points, but your theories have a few holes in them. But Swiss cheese has holes in them, and Swiss cheese is one of my favorite cheeses. Yo po. So don't be discouraged that your theory has holes in it. Swiss cheese also has holes in it. You know what I mean? My socks, sometimes I do toss them when they have holes in them, but that's beside the point. That's neither here nor there. Sublantics is what that is. November episode, yeah. That was a doozy. You were here. That was a doozy. That was insanity. And you could say, well, I hadn't regressed to the first stage of recovery because I knew I had a problem. That last relapse in 2023, I knew I was an alcoholic, but I was so desperate for relief from all of the restlessness, irritability, and discontentment of not living life on life's terms, basically assuming the highest power in my life all the time. That's stressful as hell. When you assume the highest power in your life, you have to deal with everything. That's stressful as hell. But I hadn't regressed to the first stage because I knew I had a problem. So the second stage of recovery, contemplation, the individual is aware of the problem and is considering making changes, but hasn't taken action yet. I had regressed from maintenance phase all the way back to contemplation phase. How am I going to stop drinking? I haven't yet taken action because I drank for 6 months. I started taking little dinky actions, like I switched to Bud Light in the last like, it might have been a month. So I was in preparation. During my relapse, I was getting ready to take action, exploring treatment options. And then I took action. I started taking concrete steps. November 30th of 2023, I started taking concrete steps to change my behavior, such as attending treatment or support groups. I found my AA book. I detoxed. I started going to meetings like it was my job. That was the action. Now I'm in the maintenance. It's been 1.5 years. I've still been attending meetings. I've been growing as a man like the Hulk. I was was 200 pounds. Now I'm 300 pounds. I woke up green. I started smashing shit. I'm growing as a man like the Hulk, is my point. No, my point is I'm growing and maturing, and I'm in the maintenance phase of recovery. And this is the phase you chill in. This is cruising altitude for the recovering addict. The fifth phase, the fifth stage of alcoholism recovery. Maintenance. I go to meetings to maintain. I help others. I remain honest, open, and willing to life on life's terms. One of those terms is I don't drink. I do not drink alcohol. That is one of life's terms. I have accepted it, and I'm maintaining a life without it. And it, when following the program and not my own alcoholically tainted ideas, my life flourishes. It has me doing uncomfortable things, like, getting out of my comfort zone. I've been super social, and they said that connection is the opposite of addiction, and I never understood it until this year. But painfully socializing, I might even take salsa lessons, yo. Again. I've been in this stage of recovery before. There's stages of relapse. I've done videos on it, mental, emotional, and physical. And there's stages of recovery. I've been in both. This is the disease. Now, alcoholism is a spectrum, if you ask me, and you may not ever relapse. You may wrap your Ford Explorer around a tree in 2007 and wake up 2.5 months later from a medically induced coma and say to yourself, I'm going to go to AA every day and never touch a drink for 20 years. Well, no, you have to realize, yo-yo, relapse is not indefinitely a part of the journey, and it's not part of the process. Physical relapse, drinking is not a part of every journey and every process. Relapse. Now, relapse in my personal view, relapse happens daily to the alcoholic in his mind. Restlessness, irritability, discontentment, which causes you to want to medicate. When you constantly practice the principles and the recovery program of Alcoholics Anonymous or any other 12-step program, that is your medication. When you choose not to do that and drink, that is the official relapse in whatever. Whatever. That's the symptom that your alcoholism is untreated and it has relapsed. The symptom. Other symptoms are anger, restlessness, irritability, and discontentment. But nobody really, when an alcoholic is, hasn't drank for a year and they're super restless, irritable, and discontent, nobody says, oh, this guy's relapsing until he drinks, and drinking is the last stage of relapse. The first is the mental behavior and behavior changes and people, places, and things start to change. Drinking is the last phase of relapse. That's the wooden gavel, if you will. And I guess that's the widely accepted, sign of relapse in addiction, using. But if you ask me, I relapsed this morning. My alcoholism relapsed today in ways of self-seeking or obsessing over things my ego wants. That's, as a disease, that's the disease. It's a disease of self. It's a disease of the mind. Bondage of self. Does 12 steps work for watching YouTube too much if you're limiting amount you watch? Yes, The 12 steps can work on anything. If you're in a traffic jam, you can work the first step of Alcoholics Anonymous like this. I am powerless over this traffic jam, and my commute has become unmanageable. Yo, that's word is bond right there. You can do that. And then you're in the traffic jam, you work the second step. You come to believe that a power greater than you can restore you to sanity. Maybe that power greater than you is your favorite compact disc, Bonnie Raitt. And you pop that jammy in. And she's like, take me to the river, whatever Bonnie Raitt sings. And she's in recovery, by the way. And that's your higher power. You can work the third step. Make a decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of God as you understand it. You say, God's will be done. There's nothing I can do for this traffic jam. God, you take this. I'm done worrying about it. You're not going to drink when you're working these steps like that. You're not going to experience road rage. You're going to relax. You know what I mean? Throw on some CCR. Can't really think of a CCR tune right now. Well, Yo-Yo, ask yourself this. Would you rather be right or would you rather be happy? What's up, Nemesis? I didn't let a guy in today, Nemesis says, who was merging. He was honking for a few miles. Right. The motherfucker thinks he controls the world. If he would have just been like, you know what? I don't control the highway. God does, or, you know. But, you know, take it. God's will be done. You know, he wouldn't have been laying on his horn, or she. Might have been a she, you know. Nemesis breaks. Well, I think Yo-Yo has some good points, but these are all opinions, bro. My opinions, your opinions, we're sick addicts, bro. I mean, what do our opinions matter? Our opinions got us drunk. Opinions ain't shit, but hoes and tricks. You know what I mean? The big book and the collective experience of alcoholics for the past century, that's 100 years, makes what it says in the big book as undeniable facts. It says that somewhere in the beginning of the big book. This is through our experience. Now we accept this as fact. You know what I mean? I'll tell you, there is no drug on earth that works as well to relax me than when I say God's will be done and I mean it. I can be having the most frustrating day. You know, my shoelace came untied and you know, somebody karate chopped me in the throat or something, you know, annoying things. And I could say, you know what? I have no power over these people karate chopping me in the throat or my shoelaces. God's will be done. Next thing you know, because I didn't tie my shoelace because I thought I had all that power, next thing you know, motherfucking Mia Kunis is like, hey, you know your shoelace is untied? Let me tie it for you. You want my number? Because I let God do his business and I wasn't all about tying my shoelace and blocking these karate chops and shit, Mia Kunis and me are now a thing. And that's how that works. And I'm not even bullshitting. That's been how it's working. For reals, though. So those were the 5 stages of recovery. It helps to know and identify with one or all of them. If you want to look at the text of what I was reading, just Google what are the stages of recovery, and then succumb to the suggestion of the all-powerful mighty Lord AI. AI will tell you what you need to know. The 5 stages: pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, and maintenance. If you are as lucky and blessed as I am, by the grace of God, as I understand Him, you two are in the maintenance stage of your recovery. This is a daily reprieve of doing the next right thing, trusting in God, cleaning house, and helping others. You do that and you ain't gonna be getting drunk. You know what I'm saying? I stream, well, we'll go a little bit longer. Seems like a lot of y'all are actively engaged. Yo says, I'm not high. Yopo 420 says, I'm not high. I'll just go ahead and repeat that one. Yopo 420 says, I'm not high. I'm really not. I used to be an addict and lost myself. You are an addict. One day in my brokenness, I had a spiritual experience and my mystical experience. My life changed. Well, good for you. Hey, what's up, April? How you doing? Our main problem, Yopo says, as humans, is we think too much. That's all it is. That is a main problem. Eckhart Tolle, the German philosopher who wrote the books A New World and my favorite, The Power of Now, suggested that 80-90% of human beings live in their mind and not in the real world. And it's true if you think about it. And if you think about it, you're living in your mind and not the real world. But you're right on that, Yopo 420. Action, working on maintenance. Right on, Lynn B. Hell yeah. This is a program of action. You know, faith without works is dead. Have faith that a power greater than you can restore you to sanity. But don't forget to take them steps. And I'm going to let my dogs out. It's been a pleasure staying sober with you this evening. Thank you for helping me stay sober. And until Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, keep it clean, keep it real, and keep doing this damn thing. Peace.